Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. The walls are closing in on Donald Trump. The U.S. House is now expected to have all the signatures needed to trigger votes on releasing the Epstein files. And a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist is warning Donald Trump could be forced out of office.
If we get access to the photos and videos that we know were seized in the raids on Jeffrey Epstein's multiple homes, and they show Trump in compromising positions, I don't see how he could possibly survive that.
That is David K. Johnston, who has won multiple awards for investigative reporting. The graphic Trump photos he is referring to include several that Epstein showed to journalist Michael Wolff.
And I remember very vividly three of them. There are two in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a third in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
And those are just some of the photographs. There are reports that Epstein kept other pictures of Trump, as well as videos. And everything in Epstein's safe was seized by the FBI during a raid in 2019. Lawsuit evidence against Epstein has already been publicly released, showing a bawdy birthday greeting allegedly signed by Trump. But friends of Epstein believe that is nothing compared to what the FBI collected and what the Department of Justice has in the unreleased files. Congressional votes to force a public release on everything are coming, and that's because a discharge petition in the U.S. House requiring 218 signatures just got a step closer.
I am honored and deeply humbled to stand before you tonight as the 11th District's Congressman-elect.
James Walkinshaw just won a special House election and has now signed the Epstein discharge petition. The final signature needed is expected soon following a special congressional election in a heavily Democratic district in Arizona. That would make 218, 214 Democrats and 4 Republicans. Thomas Massie of Kentucky, Lauren Boebert of Colorado, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, and Nancy Mace of South Carolina. And they each have insisted they will not fold.
I admire Congressman Massey's courage. I admire Nancy Mace's courage, Marjorie Taylor Greene's courage, Lauren Boebert's courage. They are standing with survivors. We have the votes. Let's get a vote this month and get the files released.
Once the House vote passes, the measure forcing the files released would then need to get through the U.S. Senate. Senate Republican leader John Thune has said he will try to block it. Overcoming Thune and other Senate Republicans to start debate would require 60 senators, or all 47 Democratic senators and 13 Senate Republicans.
The pressure that's on the House of Representatives right now is going to go to the Senate after this passes the House. I think we're going to get a resounding vote on this, and I think he's going to be under more pressure than he realizes. He should do the right thing. You know, there are some people saying that our effort is redundant, that the House Oversight Committee is doing all the work that needs to be done. If that were true, why would the administration and the establishment be so opposed to doing our legislation? The fact is, it's not redundant. Our legislation is necessary, and Senator Thune should bring it up.
If the legislation gets through the Senate, the next obstacle to the Epstein files release would include Trump loyalists at the Department of Justice, including Attorney General Pam Bondi. There are already reports that Bondi ordered DOJ staff and FBI agents to scrub out all Trump references in the files. But there are several career Department of Justice staff, along with a lawyer for victims of Jeffrey Epstein, who have already viewed and read the files.
The victim's lawyer, Bradley Edwards, has seen the files, as have many people who are career officials. So if they try to do something that is political, then many other people would call them out on it.
So if the files get released, then what? Well, the few Republicans pushing for the release, including Tom Massie, suspect that the worst revelations will be about Donald Trump's wealthy friends and donors.
I think it's going to be embarrassing to some of the billionaires, some of the donors who are politically connected to his campaign. I also think Democrats are going to be implicated in this, Democrat donors. And when you get to the billionaire level, a lot of these folks give to both parties anyway.
As for the highest profile billionaire who was close to Epstein, Donald Trump, If there is embarrassing or incriminating information, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist David K. Johnson points out that Trump will only have himself to blame morally and politically.
Trump was the one who raised the issue. He promised when he got to the White House all these documents would be released. And so, this is you hoist on your own petard.
And back to the photographs and videos that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly had in his safe. The inference from these materials is that Donald Trump had sex with girls who were younger than 18, girls who Epstein had trafficked and who were forced to submit to Donald Trump and others. In other words, the photographs, if they still exist and are released, could visually show Donald Trump committed statutory rape. At that point, amidst a House impeachment resolution, would most GOP lawmakers still protect Donald Trump? What would Senate Republicans do in an impeachment trial?
Who's going to vote to support a pedophile in the White House? I mean, think about that. I'm going to go home and run for re-election and, hey, yes, I voted to keep a child rapist in the White House. That's why I don't believe he can survive that.
And that pressure from the public and the Congress is going to start building. The special election in Arizona that Democrats are heavily favored to win will happen on Tuesday, September the 23rd. Adelita Grijalva, daughter of the late Raul Grijalva, is expected to get sworn into the House within days of that election. And then the discharge petition will trigger a House floor vote on releasing the Epstein files. And when that happens, watch out. The national attention on the U.S. House, the Senate, and the Trump-Epstein files will explode. Buckle up, my friends. Donald Trump is cornered, and as that old saying goes, is about to get real. By the way, new details are emerging about Donald Trump's airstrike in a Venezuelan boat, and the disturbing information is undercutting Trump claims.
You're looking at video shared by President Trump that his administration says shows the military striking a boat from Venezuela allegedly carrying drugs. The president says 11 were killed in the attack.
Now, several news organizations, including the New York Times, are reporting boats suspected of smuggling drugs are said to have turned before U.S. attacked it. Quote, a Venezuelan boat that the U.S. military destroyed in the Caribbean last week had altered its course and appeared to have turned around before the attack started because the people on board had apparently spotted a military aircraft stalking it, according to American officials familiar with the matter.
Either it was an act of war, and if it's an act of war, it was never declared by Congress, and only Congress has the power to declare war, or it was law enforcement. But if it's law enforcement, people have a right to be arrested and to have due process and to have a trial before they're executed.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular was from Kelly, who wrote, they were in international waters. That was murder, completely illegal. I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about the walls closing in on Donald Trump in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.